Well, hello, beautiful people. Good day, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for those of you who are watching the recording. Hello to you. And for those of you who are joining us on this evening, hello, hello, hello. And it's a wonderful Tuesday, March 3rd, 2021, and I am so excited. I am glad and excited to have my co-host, Mr. Pastor Robert Gaines III, with me on this evening, or with us on this evening, you all. It's been a moment, but the team is here and we are in full effect. Okay, so this is not a success in motion conversation, if you will. This is just a Nicole and a Robert conversation on today. And I just kind of wanted to do just something a little different. Just have conversations, more so about things that have been on my mind, or some things that I've been different conversations that I've been having with other people, and just kind of throwing some things out there. I will say this though, that I will begin to post the Success in Motion webcast on the Strategic Image Consulting YouTube channel. So for those of you who have not subscribed yet, you may do so at Strategic Image Consulting, and that is where the Success in Motion webcasts will be. I'll either do them live or I'll post a recording on that site as well. So, some exciting news. I know, Robert, you brought this out before, and because I hadn't talked about it, but for those of you who do not know, I have had the honor and the privilege of being able to co-author a book, and it's called Finish Strong. And the interviews will be taking place sometime next month because the book release is this month. And I'm just super excited about that. I don't know that I ever thought before that I would author a book, but this is the first of many to come. I already have the topics for the book titles and the titles, the chapters to the books, the topics. So you all, I am very excited, and I thank you for your support, and whether it's purchasing or coming to the events, seminars, webinars, all that good stuff. And Robert, I definitely thank you for your support, your prayers, and all that. So, I just so I know last week we talked about divorce, marriage, and singleness. And as I mentioned before, let me put this disclaimer out there. I'm not a single woman who is trying to have these conversations because I'm desperate, or I'm in need of, or in search of, and all that stuff. This is not the case. This is just conversations to have for clarity for those who are seeking, whether it's just to be in a relationship, a marriage, or whatever the case may be, but just to give some food for thought, and to share from our personal experiences of the things that we endured while waiting for our spouse to come along. Okay, so I'm still single, but yet my brother is not. So, just want to put that out there, and this way you'll get an exhaustive flair from both angles. So, Robert, really, really quickly, there are a lot of men. So, from my own personal experience, okay, so with dating, or having dated, or gone on dates, I should say that, because anyway, gone on dates, and having conversations with men, a lot of times they say that they want a godly woman. And so, you know, I'm a godly woman, tried and true. you know, so I guess I really want to know what that means, because I guess from a male's perspective, a godly woman is defined based on what their thoughts, what their needs are, what their perception of a godly woman is. So help us, help us single women to understand that, because I really want to know.
Ooh, first off, I am a man, and you're asking me to give advice to women. You already understand, like, that's a difficult place for any man to stand. Actually, that's a difficult place for any man to sit, let alone stand. But I will take a shot at this, and I will take all of whatever anybody has to give back, because I am not a doctor or a therapist or anything else. But I am one who truly does look at relationships. But before I speak to the women, I'll speak to the men. We say we want a godly woman, but there's two things in this case that we have to do first. First and foremost, as always, you have to know thyself. So you can go to the club Saturday night, wake up and be at church for 8 o'clock service and serve the communion. Maybe. Possibly. Is that godly? So before you start trying to pull the sticks out of the young lady's eyes, because whatever she's doing or may look like, or a place that you think you might have seen her, is she serving in the same service that you serving in? But bigger than knowing thyself is your relationship with God. And I'll give you the example, not so much in a dating relationship, but in a true, genuine love of brother and sisterhood. What you see between Nicole and I is genuinely that. Never has it really crossed either of our mind to try to date. But the chemistry that we have could confuse a lot of people. We are great friends. We don't even really have to speak everything out to know what the other is thinking. And I know that I'm a godly man. I also know that I have my own flaws. So I can't expect for a godly woman to come to me flawless. I can't sit there and look for the Proverbs woman that everybody else is looking for and expect her to be all of that in a bag of chips, because I got to go old school somewhere. Most people don't know what that is anymore, but y'all will catch on eventually. And if you're too young watching this to understand that, go look up the phrase, all that in a bag of chips. Google is wonderful. But ladies, please understand that for all the hurt, the anger, betrayal, and things that you have dealt with in your time of being single, that does not equate to every single guy that speaks to you, or every other guy that actually tries to get to know you.
That's true. That's good.
Because if he is being genuine, he might not even be in a space to consider dating you. Do you really want to miss out on a good thing that knows how to take his time and be patient with working within himself, and all you need to do is be a friend? Because in that friendship, love is so amazing that it comes through friendship. It's a rare thing that many people have. You might not like 35 to 40% of what that person does overall. There's nothing ungodly that they're doing, but they work corporate. But you busy in the mailroom at somebody else's corporation, and you don't like being in the mailroom, and you hate all the higher ups because they go on all of these trips or whatever. Dude happen to say, hey, let's hang out, let's have fun, let's talk. Never pushes up on you for any extracurricular activity. Never trying to caress your body and hold your curves, no matter how beautiful and bodacious they may or may not be. just genuinely wanting a friendship. And if the men have to first know thyself and God, so should you. The godly woman that most men are looking for is the woman who has a relationship with God, is not afraid to show it, but also can still be human in their interpersonal connection and conversation. If I can't sit there and say to a woman that I'm interested in, that I'm dating or considering marrying, that looked real good. Now, mind you, that's not godly. We not married. Why am I looking at her like she a treat? But let's be honest. We're human. So I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm not condoning premarital sex. I'm acknowledging the sin that most adults carry. I'm not saying that you're not godly or you don't know God because you're having sex. We all got to answer for our own crosses when we get to the gate. I think my name on page 375,422 and a half. I'm just saying.
It's in the book.
I believe in Jesus. I know Jesus, so I know my name is in there. Yeah. I got this cross because I've sinned, and He washed me, so I can carry this thing. So I'm being real with you when I say, when that brother look at you and he tell you at some point in time how beautiful you are, you have a very intimate conversation, be it about sex, be it about possibly your molestation that took place at some point in time. Once you become open and vulnerable, that's when you feel like, oh my goodness, I've gone too far. I like him now, and I think I can do that with him. Do that with your friend first. Because your friends are going to show their true colors the deeper you take them into your pond or your lake. And that doesn't mean opening your legs and letting them in. That simply means letting them into your heart and your spirit. See if you're on the same vibration level. You know, because if you off this much, it just ain't going to work. Your wavelengths might, be all over the place, and it's just not going to work. So when a man says he wants a godly woman, it's okay to challenge him, but make sure your challenge with him is not to the point that it's argumentative.
That's good.
That's all. That's all.
That's good. That's good. And so I wanted to you touched on something too, in regards to when a man basically pays a compliment to a woman, oh, you look good, you fine, whatever. And some women may be offended by that, because their thing is, I'm a woman, you can't talk to me like that, you have to respect me, you're being disrespectful, you're dishonoring me and all that stuff, But I think depending on the type of woman, because it depends on how it's being said and what's coming behind all that. But other than that, I don't see that really being offensive, not to me, But that one of the things that you pointed out was, and you mentioned that being a sin, but I don't think it is. But how, just having that conversation, knowing thyself. And when you're having that conversation with that young lady, or young lady, when you're having that conversation with that man, that there are, okay, let me get to it. So just recently I was speaking to someone, and, I told them, I told them who I am. I'm a minister, I'm a mother, sister, entrepreneur, all that. Anyway, and so I think that sometimes when I tell people that I'm a minister, then they think that maybe I'll be preachy to them. And it's like, well, no, I'm not going to be preachy to you, but yet I am who I am, And so the person was like, well, can you separate you being a minister from being just Nicole? And I'm like, no. And the reason being is because It's all encompassing, and I am who I am. So it's not that, every time I'm having a conversation with you that I'm preaching at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, we're having conversation. You know what I'm saying? We're this webcast right now, it's not preachy. We're just talking, I talk to people all the time, but I think that may scare some people. Well, scare the men, or intimidate them. And I find that some men, they are like, oh, well, I'm intimidated, or you scare me. And I'm like, so what's your motive, though? If I scare you, what's your motive? Go ahead, Robert, because yeah.
You said a few things that were really key. Motive. What's the motive? A lot of men, from what I've heard from women, are intimidated by titles. And so then you hear they couldn't handle a strong woman. Oftentimes, certain titles bring a certain personality or attitude with it. You ever meet a string of people with the same names that don't know each other, that don't even live in the same place, but they have the same about themselves? When you have that instance, you don't sit there and categorize all Roberts as great people or all Roberts as bad people, but you notice that they all have some form of a similar trait in the way that they behave. You meet Calvins. Most Calvins either have an amazing smile and are great people, or they're very cunning. Just simply in my lifetime of the Calvins that I've met, doesn't make them bad. It just makes them very interesting. Doesn't mean that I won't meet another one and all of a sudden, you got to be a con artist. I'm going to go with your con artist side first. And when you prove that you're not a con artist, then I'm going to appreciate your smile and I'm going to talk about how you smile. No, I can't take everybody else's baggage and dump it on Nicole, because like my cousin Nicole and my sister whose middle name is after her, all of you have these big, beautiful smiles. Just, oh my goodness, light up the room. And just absolutely amazing people and funny. So when men see women, when they're paying compliments, the man is so used to being dominant that relationships are a shared experience and a shared responsibility. You bring 100% of who you are to the table. I need to know how much of you I can handle based upon what I know about thyself.
That's
because
good.
once
Okay.
I know myself,
Okay.
I know how much of you I can really roll with. And that's the problem that most men have, is they don't take the time to understand how to roll with everything else that's going on. Oh man, he got a Bentley, he work over here at Bosch, he looking to go into Tesla soon, he got this 6-figure salary, he bada boom, bada bang, he always traveling. Girl, he was going to take me to Paris for the weekend just so we can go stand on the Eiffel Tower. I like him. And her herself, she's an administrator at a school. So is she not good enough for this dude? Or is it because of who she is, she too good for this dude? So we can't compare the emotional of I want to, ooh, I see, that look good. We got to compare to, gentlemen, if we're looking for a godly woman will not allow her title to supersede her humanistic characteristics. Every woman wants to be loved. They're not all loved the same way. I was watching a movie that came out recently, and I'm going to name it because it's a movie that I'm really excited about. It was difficult to watch, but it was such a tremendous learning experience. The United States versus Billie Holiday. I knew she was beautiful. I knew she could sing. I had no idea, because I've only heard about the song twice before watching the movie Strange Fruits and why it was such a big deal. I didn't know she was a heroin addict. I didn't know that she was so free with herself. She knew God. She lived a life full of sin, according to the Bible. But was she human? Was she treated like a human? She was madly in love with the first cop, the first FBI agent that was sent to find a reason to lock her up. Wow. She fell in love with him because he was genuinely interested and intrigued by her. He was sent in to do a job, and he was consciously put into a place saying, oh, you the black man they sent in to go catch the black woman. Okay. And he realized how messed up that was. But the job didn't stop the love. And the love wasn't stopped by the job. And there was a level of respect that grew over time that turned into a lifetime of, I love you. And there's some things that I saw in the movies, it's like, wow, but you're so messed up as a woman, you don't even realize that you're strong enough to handle this love, but because you don't want to handle it in this moment, you want what you're so used to having, that you're going to give it all up and go and leave all your people behind. Now, I'm not telling the whole story, and what I just said makes no sense until you watch the story. So, it's still worth the watch. But understanding that the relationship she had, the title of being this amazing singer, this beautiful, gorgeous woman of her time, this iconic icon of black queen, being hunted by, not haunted, but hunted by the government, who hired and sent something that she would be attracted to try to take her down, who then does so much more in her favor than against her. When a woman throws out her title, what is it that she's overcompensating for? Because, again, the relationship with God will allow you to be, and I use the words intertwined because they can be, but you got to understand it, naked and vulnerable. Because when you're naked, you are your most vulnerable self. You never stand before God with clothes on. I don't care how many layers you're wearing. God don't even see your skin. He see your soul and your heart. Ooh, all the filth and the dirt that you carry because you hate that girl over there because in the 5th grade, she looked at you sideways. In the 12th grade, that one over there beat you out for prom queen. And that girl right there stopped you from getting to the college that you wanted to get. So all of these things of animosity. And then you sit there and it's like, oh, I don't like this guy because he looked like, he smelled like, he act like my daddy. Not my daddy. So you have all of these men that you realize you don't like, but you have yet to pour time into the men that you do like. You haven't looked at the men that you don't like and realized what you liked about them in the first place and the things that attracted you to them, that they have these characteristics. So I'm saying to you, your title, do not use that to compensate for your lack. Men, don't allow a woman's title to be bolder than what you are. I could promise you, when whoever meets Nicole and she rattles off all of her titles and all of her certifications, I didn't say degrees, I said certifications. People get that twisted. They hear certifications and think, oh, that's nothing. That's a certification. That's a certification. Let me tell you something. Mechanics don't go to college, but they make 6 figures. Auto techs don't make a college degree, but they got certifications up the butt. and they still make 70, 80, 90. Easy. So you can't discount the work that somebody has put into their life and take it to be a negative. Ladies, when you recognize that you are doing something to compensate for something else, take the time and stop. Call a timeout. Stop the play. File something. Get yourself together. And if he is right for you, don't wait till he about to walk out the door, he done left already, to go chasing him down. Apologize and tell him what it is that you believe you did wrong. And if he still chooses to walk away, let him go, because he obviously is not good enough for you, or you were not the right match with each other. You are beautiful, you are brilliant, and you are bold. You are a woman.
You know, that was good. And I know when you said, you know, y'all probably don't know where I'm going when you were talking about Billie Holiday, Strange Fruits, and you know, it was like, okay, but you tied that in to what I was saying in regards to, you know, people becoming intimidated, you know, by the things that I say. And of course, instead of taking out the time to get to know that woman, you know what I'm saying, regardless of what the title is, because the titles don't make a person. It's just the title that you have and the role that you're in at the time to do the job or the work that you have to do. You know what I'm saying? But yet it still represents who you are, as long as you don't allow the titles to overtake you or to, like you said, overcompensate. You know, you hide behind your titles as opposed to being who you are, you know. And people, you know, I told someone just recently too, I'm like, I can't pretend to be anybody that I'm not. I am Nicole, okay? Because I don't want to. I can't. That's too much, and I don't have time for that. You say to your be true to yourself, you know. Yeah. And I always say, to thine own self be true. You know what I'm saying? You have to be. Anyway, but I like what you said. So one thing that you did touch on, how much can I handle of you by knowing myself, you know, in regards to a man. And, you know, I guess even when there are women who may seem to have insecurities about themselves, and they may meet a guy who seems to be very confident within himself, that, like you mentioned, there are still insecurities that he has too, you know. But one of the things that you got me, and I'm just like, oh, you really hit on something, was when you spoke about how women can meet a man, and the same for men. You can meet a person, but you don't take out the time to really get to know who they are. You know what I'm saying? Because you're so, you know, you're so scarred because of whatever it was that you experienced from your previous relationship or relationships, that you've not taken out the time to be healed, delivered, and set free, and then to be able to pay attention to that person to see whether that person is a match for you or not. You know, I shared last week how, you know, I'm so thankful that I've had the number of years. I've been divorced for, this is the 15th year, so 14 years. I've been divorced for 14 years, and I'm glad and I'm thankful now, being able to see it from a broader perspective and with wisdom and maturity than, of course, years ago, because it's like, I want to get married, you know, all that stuff. And of course, I desire that, but I realized and I knew that for me to get into a relationship right after I got divorced was going to be a disaster, because of course, naturally, yes, I would have one false thing said or done, I may have compared that to my ex-husband, And that may not have even been the thing that I needed to do. That was just something, and I just took it too far. But I knew that I needed to be healed first, because there would have been a lot of baggage that I had, emotional, just mental, all that, and it would have been jacked up. I know that about myself. To thine own self be true. Know thyself, So, but now, again, I've had 14 years now, to get all of that stuff worked out. And but again, to touch on what you said, to take out the time to get to know the men that do come into your life, or if you're a man, to get to know those women that do come into your life. But I will say this, though, that, as you mature and you know what you want and you know who you are, you can cut out all the BS in the beginning with the conversations that you have. And I believe that, I will say this, I know that us women, we will entertain conversations, you know what I'm saying? But I remember some years ago that a good male friend of mine, he said to me, he said, Nicole, and this is not something I think that a lot of women really think about, because we're selfish, a lot of people are selfish, but from a female's perspective, we can be really selfish. But what he said to me, he said, Nicole, he said, it's really unfair, because us men, we'll be interested in a young lady, and we'll be so excited. We want to take her out. We dress to the nines and everything. She dressed to the nines. We go out to have dinner, have a very good time, and then that's it. And he said that's so unfair, because us men, we're the ones, we have to pay for dinner. We got to come get you. You know what I'm saying? We might even have to go buy a new outfit, or whatever the case may be. We're spending all this money, and in our minds, we're thinking, okay, this is her. She is it. You know what I'm saying? This is the one. And all she wanted to do was to go out, look good, smell good, eat good, and then go back home, and then wait for the next guy to call her so that she could do that all over. And I thought about that thing, and I was like, dang. Now, I'm just coming from his perspective in regards to women. I'm sure men do the same thing. You want a dime piece on your arm. You want that trophy. You want that bang, that, like that banging body with all the curves, and everything, on your arm. But your intentions are not really to be with her. She just, either the fling of the moment, the toy of the month, the flavor of the next 2 months. But taking out the time to really get to know someone, as opposed to just, I'm good, unless that's really where you are, and I know that a lot of conversations now, my mother is old school, and she's like, well, nobody should be talking about any of those things that you guys talk about now in the first meeting. And I'm like, well, I agree, but I guess to cut down on all the mess, you have these in-depth conversations about your whole life with the first conversation, and that will determine whether you want to be bothered with somebody or deal with them. What you think about that?
I actually think that's extremely spot on. You see movies, and it's accepted, where a woman goes on a date with a guy today, and she wake up in the morning and go on a date with another guy tomorrow. The date that night was a first date. The date that next morning was a dude who apparently is socially accepted to wake up out of one woman's bed to try to go get into another's. And that woman in the morning wanted him just as bad as the woman last night wanted him. He just couldn't wait till the morning, even though he knew it was coming. So he went and got last night and this morning. And I say that, not that all men are that way. There are a large number of men that have been. And most of those men are the ones that women flock to in the first place. They got that muscular tone to their body. They got that walk. They look sexy, and they might put on a suit and got glasses, and got lotion on their hands, all kind of drip as they call it nowadays. And oh girl, you walked by and I smelled that cologne. That was a $300 bottle or more, because the smallest bottle was $300. I know that cologne. Right. My goodness gracious. But the reality of it is this. What is the intent in the first place? We men talk about wanting a godly woman, but our belief in finding one without the baggage or the BS or the crap is just as much of a fantasy as we are to the woman. Because women want that dude who, she want that dude that's 6 foot, dark chocolate, make a suit look like a piece of cloth. Because when it's walking down the street, all she see is the meat behind it. And she just know he packing. Don't know what he packing. It might be a 9mm. It might be a shotgun. It don't even. Because if he pull out a 22, he getting laughed out the room.
Oh God.
So let's talk about the overcompensation of men.
Ooh.
So you have to understand, ladies, as you are sitting there looking at this $300 minimal cologne package that look good, smell good, feel good walking by, with this great smile and oomph about itself, and you just want to, Boys in the Hood reference, you just want to rush that, wow, hold on. Is he overcompensating for something? In a lot of movies, in a lot of television shows, you hear guys that drive these small, fast sports cars are overcompensating for things that they don't have or can't do. I don't know how true that is. I don't have a small sports car to try to use to overcompensate for anything, and I refuse to have any more of that conversation right now anyway. So,
you know what?
So the thing of it is not just that women overcompensate, but men do too. The insecurities that we carry is because we either know thyself and we believe that it's not enough for what we want, and we're trying to fake it till we make it, or we truly just aren't enough to get what we want. We just hoping to happen to land on free parking with a lot of money underneath. So, everything that glitters isn't gold. The grass isn't necessarily greener on the other side. And it is until you look at yourself and you look at the other and determine if you are walking and willing and able to accept the growth that they still have to do with you. Because guess what? As dynamic as Nicole is, and as dynamic as I am, yes, I'm married. No, I'm not trying to date Nicole. No, none of that. But if I were to meet Nicole in me being single, and try to talk to Nicole, at first I might be a little off put, because she is such a strong woman with so much head power and head, like she is mentally able to run laps around most people without a college degree now. Now, I told you she got certifications, and I'm not afraid to talk about it because it's an amazing accomplishment that she has all that she has without college. Now, mind you, I work in a school. I don't have a college degree. I have a certification and a whole lot of life experience. Most importantly, what I have is the will of God. Because that alone will take you everywhere that you need it to. Once you are willing to be naked, vulnerable, unafraid of what that vulnerability may bring, there's nobody or nothing that you're not good enough for. The question then becomes, who's good enough for you? And then, are you humble enough? Are you humbled enough to accept the flaws in that person? see women, because once you understand that dude has a sports car and he's overcompensating, but he's not overcompensating as much as you thought he was, and you like, he the real deal. But then you go to his house and it's in the middle of the hood, and you got to drive through in a certain 5-minute time frame to avoid bullets because everybody reloading. I'm just saying. And then you realize he's one of the most respected people, and if the bullets are flying, it's a call that go out, be like, hey, yo, he coming. And they treat him like the president, and all of a sudden the war stops for him to come through. And as he goes by, bullets are missing the back of his car because they shooting again. Do you want a man that's respected like that? Because he has nothing to do with that drug gang or that street war or whatever else is going on, but he impacted all of their lives somewhere. Men, when a woman walks past a store and the guy at the door sits there and says, she's been coming here for years, she's such an amazing person, are you willing to sit there and listen to all the men that abused her, misused her, and treated her badly, and prove that you are none of those guys? Because until we both reach that mutual point where we're willing to accept our flaws of each other, doesn't mean that we're going to take them on and continue to deal with them, but I'm willing to work with you in healing through them. You know, you always hear women talk about, I ain't raising no other man. I'm tired of raising me. These little boys, all they want is... No. Ladies, I understand that sex is good, it's fun, it's exciting. But if your main point of going out on a date every 3 or 4 weeks is because you find yourself in need, and every guy that you talk to who don't pick up the phone when you want him to, so you go find somebody else and you have a one-night stand, what are you looking for? He's just as empty as you are. And you're better than that. Know your worth. Because the moment you learn your worth and your hurt, and you can be vulnerable, that guy that you can be vulnerable with, and that don't mean on the first date you go, this happened. No, find out where his headspace is. He might not be able to deal with the fact that you were molested. He might be a child that was created out of a rape situation. It's not okay. But can he handle, help, sustain you, and support you in your hurt and your growth out of your situation that you're holding on to? That alone will show how much of a, at least spiritual woman that you can be. And y'all can obviously have a conversation about God. You go to church? Yeah, I go to church. You know God? Yeah, I know God. Now, you didn't ask me if I went to church. You just asked me if I knew God. Which is a better question than do you go to church, because there's a whole lot of people in church that still don't know God, and if they did, they could have let them go, but they show up to appear that they do.
Come on.
Rewind that so you can hear it again.
Right. That was good. That was good. I like that. That's, I like being able to have conversations, transparent conversations, open dialogue, being real, being honest, because a lot of people who look a certain way or present themselves a certain way don't always get real with people. And a lot of times, I'm all about getting to the root of what's going on within people, as far as personal development, ministry, all of that good stuff, because I want people to be healthy. I want them to be emotionally stable. I want them to be mentally stable. I want us to walk in love and to get rid of all the hurts and the traumas and the pain and, all of that. And I do believe that this conversation, it touched on so many different things. Again, I didn't want it to be, like it's been in the past, because this is just something there's some healing needed and some honesty, that needed to come forth so that men and women can both understand where we each come from, Robert, I like how what you said, though, too, and, I'll end this in just a little bit, but, to work with you through your healing process, because there are some people who, you know, there's healing that needs to happen, and we can't expect people to be perfect, because a lot of times we're looking for that perfect person, but there's a perfect person for you. I really believe that there's a perfect person for each of us that are out there, and we have to be willing to work with a person, because you don't know how God is going to send your mate to you. You don't know what situation we want them to, be good, and everything that we want and need and all that stuff. And it's not to say that you can't have what you need, but you touched on something also too. A lot of times we go based on what we see. We see, as women, we see that man who looks good in a suit. We see that man who, he works good with his hands, or whatever the case, whatever it is that you as a woman is looking for in a man, you know what I'm saying? But when you're looking at the outer appearance more so than what's looking at the heart, then that can just straight up just throw you all off, because it can be that man that you're wanting and desiring, but because he is not dressed a certain way, then you're just, you just writing them off, and I'm assuming it's the same for men, because of, I don't know what, anyway, but that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have next week. Anyway, but some of the two key takeaways, Robert, that you shared are for men and women to know thyself, and then for women to know your worth. Those are extremely important, and you can't go wrong when you exercise both of those. When you implement both of those into your daily life, you got to know who you are. And I'm going to put it out here. I know who I am. Okay. And I don't know if that's intimidating or not, but I know who I am, and I know whose I am. So I don't have an identity crisis, or anything like that. I know who I am, and I know and I understand my worth. And, my prayer is that each and every one of you who is watching will definitely take out the time. If you don't know who you are, I need you to figure it out. I need you to do that really, really quickly. And go ahead, Rob.
I just want to say, because we're talking about men looking for a godly woman, and hopefully, ideally, women are looking for a godly man. There are men that God may, or there are people that God may send into your life, because it could be man or woman, who is truly there to stop you from the destructive activity that you have going in your life. They may be ideally everything that you want and desire, but they are not there for the lifetime. They are there for the moment to help impact enough change in your life so that you can meet that right person. So please, please, don't get mad. Don't be offended if that relationship that you thought was going to be forever turns into a short-term thing. Whether they walk away completely, whether they become friends of yours or whatever, have the maturity to respect each other's desire for the remainder of the relationship, whatever the relationship becomes. Because you might meet today and be like, oh, that's my girl right there, dog. And then you become vulnerable to that person. They're not leaving you because of your vulnerability. They're there to help you heal in that vulnerability, so that you will be prepared for the one that is to come for you. So I needed to make sure that was very clear. It's not just simply knowing yourself, but it's also knowing what is meant for your forever. That person sticking around isn't sticking around because they're trying to be your woman or your man. They just want to make sure that you understand that love and friendship is real, and that you can hold out hope for those things. Because there are some real men out here who want to just love on women genuinely because you are such masterful masterpieces of God. And they don't want to exploit or ruin your grace and the glory that God has poured into you. They only want to uplift you and polish you off so that you can be shining for the right one. Because in the polishing of the various women that a man may deal with or go through, it doesn't have to be any sexual activity. But when she does come along, after he done practiced polishing this one on the right arm, this one on the left arm, making sure this one got the right scalp treatment done, making sure this one got good feet to walk and run, when she come along, she can be tore from the flow up. Everybody else didn't look past them, or even those that have it and that have desired them, but they didn't fit and work for that relationship of long term. When she come along, you can't be mad about his choice because he helped you along. Don't hang on to him. Keep your eyes open because God got something for you. Thank you.
That was perfect. I'm trying to let go of this conversation and end it, but I just have just real quick, y'all. Just real quick. I hope those of y'all who will watch the recording later will still just watch it all the way to the end because this was really good. Okay, this was really, really good and very helpful and necessary. Okay, for both the men and women. But what you said was so important. I'm so thankful you said that. And y'all, I need you. Yeah, I don't even know if I should speak because I'm thinking they will have to rewind it. So this way, okay. So the forever relationship that is a learning experience, not your forever. So I will say this, and I'm being transparent. I got to be honest because I know I'm not the only one. So it's interesting because I understand now, of course, that when men come to me, it's because of the anointing that is on my life. It's not that, oh, I'm so gorgeous, I'm so beautiful, I'm so this, I know me, okay? But it's because of the anointing and the grace that God has upon my life. But I will say this, that I love to love. So when different men have come into my life, I have become attached to them because I see them in a way that some people may not see. And what I've learned is, because I can see both, I can see the bad parts and I can see the good parts, but I choose to focus on the positive things. And what I've learned is that the men who've come into, because I'm not in a relationship and I'm not married, but the men who've come into my life in the past, it was for ministry because it was to help them to get to the next level in their life. And I'm just being honest, you guys. I'm just putting it out there. But I got attached. So it was a learning experience for me to understand that, okay, every man that comes into your life ain't yours. You know what I'm saying? And this is not a forever thing, but there's a reason why they're in your life. And what I realized, because I've been told this, that I bring peace to people. You know what I'm saying? There's just some peace. There's just peace. And, oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So I understand, again, I know who I am, y'all. And a very good sister friend of mine, she told me a few years ago, she said, Nicole, and this was, I believe the Lord was speaking to her, and she said, every man that comes into your life is not for you, but it is for ministry. And I was like, okay, so I get it, because, you get the ones that come into your life, and you're like, why are they coming into my life? Anyway, but I get that. And there are a lot of men who have experienced so many different things in their lives. They have, oh my gosh, just whether it doesn't even matter whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't even matter. But just because of the things that you've endured in your life, when you get to Nicole, it's because there's peace that's needed. There's restoration that is needed. There is some gentle love and kindness that's needed. There's the tone of my voice that is needed. My goodness. Woo! To help to catapult you to the next level in your life. I learned that, and I'm so thankful that my brother and my friend has touched on that because, oh my goodness. How about it? Oh my goodness, because that is so important for us as women to understand that every man that comes into our life is not the forever. It is a learning experience to help us, to clean us up, and to help them as well. Oh, my goodness. Lord, I thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Woo! Okay. Because, I mean, that, yeah. Amen. 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 So, you got, my goodness. I thank you all for taking out the time to watch us, to join us this evening. I really do, because this was really, really good. And Robert, I thank you for I thank you. I thank you. I'm thankful because I'm so blessed to have this relationship that we have. And Tracy, I thank you for allowing Robert and I to have this friendship that we have. Because I thank you. And I love it because it's a true friendship that is not taken out of context. You know what I'm saying? It's a true friendship, and it's a spiritual connection that we have, and I'm so thankful for it because it's something that I desire to have, and I'm so glad and thankful that I do have that. But you all, we're going to continue with these personal development conversations. Just because we need to be healed, delivered, and set free, and we need to have some understanding of things that are not always talked about in an exhaustive way, if you will, and to be able to hear from just to hear it coming from me and to hear it coming from him and whoever else decides to join us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, conversations can be had all over the place or whatnot, but I just truly believe that this is a platform where, it's food for thought, and you'll definitely be catapulted to the next level in your life. Robert, please share with our audience your platform, your webcast, and all that good stuff. So this way, our followers, our audience can check you out also.
It is an absolute pleasure to be a part of the Success in Motion family, and I thank you so much. You can always find me at Past, Present, Possibilities at Coach Games 3 here on freeconferencecall.com on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Not always sharp, but almost always on time. Because the truth is, conversation is worth more than you can ever see. As you clearly just recognized, it is heartfelt, it is real, it is genuine. But you have to be open to the growth and to the learning. And I truly do believe that anyone who hears this through the end will recognize that they have been catapulted to the next level of their life. Because these are baby steps that start somewhere. And I promise you, it will take off in a blink of an eye. Thank you so much for having me with you and the family. And until next time, I'll see you there.
All right, y'all. We'll see you later. I love you, love you, love you. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the third Wednesday of this month of March. All right. I love you. Talk to you later. Have a good night. Mwah! Bye-bye.